Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, a Kia Drive Day special edition. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew.
It's awfully dynamic.
Yes, very up.
Andrew, you went off on a jolly, didn't you?
I did. I managed to escape the house briefly, and I went up to the northeast to join fellow members of the Northern Group of Motoring Writers. It was their day where they were having their annual meeting and the likes, which Kia came and supported and brought a bunch of cars for us all to try out and get a little dabble in their range now.
Excellent.
It's been a while since we've had a Kia, I think.
Yes, it was the very start of lockdown and everything, and it was the 12-week stinger.
Yes, it was more became drive ornament than actually driving, unfortunately.
Fantastic stereo. Lovely car. I just wish I could have taken it on a road trip further than, Tesco. So anyway, you didn't have cars for 12 weeks.
No, I didn't.
What was the setup of the day?
Okay, so it basically was one of those first come, first serve for the variety of cars that were out there. There was more cars there than I actually tried. I got about an hour in each car.
That's not bad.
Knew a sort of route that had a mix of dual carriageway, B roads, A roads, and that sort of stuff, and a little bit of villagey stuff as well. So I felt I gave them a pretty decent workout for very much a first experience of. Now, as ever with the drive days, an hour is not a full review. This is just you're dipping your toe in and you're getting a feel for the car.
What do you mean? That's 8,000 words, Andrew.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of cars I didn't even get near to actually open the door, which I have done 5,000 words for as full reviews.
Excellent.
So
So not
worry.
letting the sign down then.
No,
That's
not
important. That's important, yes. I have looked at it and therefore I know all about it.
Yes, quite.
So the first one, which you did actually open the door of, sit in and pootle around the countryside in, Kia Sportage Fève.
It's the new Sportage, and it's the plug-in hybrid version.
Mm.
And it's got the new Kia look, and it's a very bold front, I have to say.
It is. It is
distinctive.
But I think it looks. It's bold and distinctive, but it's not. Oh my goodness! What is that thing coming towards me? Which is a challenge I think that there is with many new vehicles.
No, I totally agree with you on that. I'll just run through a quick bit of the details. So the one I had, plug-in hybrid, it's an all-wheel drive one as well. It's the 5th generation of the Sportage, which took me back a bit. 5 generations. I didn't realise it was that many.
Yeah, and if you look at what it looks like now compared to what it looked like back then,
yeah, absolutely.
There's a company that's come a long way. Yeah,
and this one is aimed at Europe. They designed this with Europe in mind. So the look, the feel, the materials, and everything is very much aimed at us, and that I think was reflected in how well they've executed it as well. Yeah,
because there's a Sportage sold here, and it's slightly different. It is a bit longer, a bit bigger. Yeah.
So there's 4 trim levels you could possibly have. The GT line, the 3, the 4, the GT line S. So they start at the bottom of the range, and I say bottom in inverted commas because it's not really, but 33,355, and it goes up to 43,795 for top of the range on the road. This is the new car. It's got new architecture and their brand new N3 platform, which is part of their design language that they're going for. And they've called this design language Opposites United. Whatever that is meant to mean, I don't get it.
That does sound like marketing people have been near this.
Yes, I think unfortunately they got hold of it before it was released.
Mm-hmm.
But what I will say, you do need to like a hexagon. That is one thing.
I loves me a hexagon, so that's brilliant.
Yeah. But this design language is first seen on the EV6. The new Sportage is 30mm longer, 10mm wider, 10mm higher, and the wheelbase is 10mm longer as well, which all provides more space inside.
Yeah. Okay.
And when you're inside, it's all been revamped and improved, much more modern look. And it's not like the last one was bad. But this feels very now and pushing very much towards premium side of things. There's a few internal elements that you wouldn't expect to see or feel in a full-on premium car, but they are really pushing hard on the quality and the finish.
It's a curious one now. Whenever you're listing the prices overlap with the Genesis GV70 that I drove.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yep. There's a digital display if you're in the driver's seat, and this the center console curves around slightly, so it's sort of aimed at the driver a bit more rather than like a flat slab across to let everybody see everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all integrated into one large unit, even though I think they are separate bits inside there.
Yeah.
And when you want to select things like the driver's mode, there's a dial, so it makes it, you're not pressing a button, you're actually physically doing something, so that's quite nice. This is a family-orientated car, so boot size is going to be quite an important thing, and it's big. 540 litres with the seats up, and that figure doesn't really do it justice to when you open the boot. It is a big space. It's 1,715 litres with the rear seats folded. So that should get you to the tip with whatever you need to take with no problems. It's a nice flat floor as well. And it's got batteries underneath it, and it's got space for the charging cable as well. And they've got a retractable cover that goes over the luggage space, as you would expect from the back seats.
What about the curry hooks?
Shockingly, there are no curry hooks in the boot.
What? This definitely loses 2 stars if we gave out stars.
Fear not, Alan and dear listener. Kia have placed them in a new position.
Ooh.
Possibly one of the greatest positionings of curry hooks. They're on the back of the front seats.
Okay. That sounds sensible.
Yes. You put a bag on, it sits perfectly in the footwell, with the height of them as well.
I confess, because I'm on the other side of the Atlantic at the minute, and I've been cruising around in a quite large SUV, larger than the Sportage, and I found that actually I don't want to put bags in the boot because the boot is too big, so they go everywhere. So I tend to have been putting them in the rear footwell, and so this is a perfect solution in that kind of situation. I can imagine this is the case here too, where you've only got one bag, and it's just going to be dwarfed by this massive boot.
Yeah,
and so this is that's a genius.
It's up there with the manufacturers that have put them on the side of the center console in the front passenger footwell if there's nobody there. It's that. I think it's been really well thought out. That has.
Yeah.
Plus, also do you want the hassle of lifting the boot every time to get an bag out? So
no.
While I'm talking about the rear seat space, there's tons of room there. It's got 2 and 2/3, 3/4 seats because of the size of the middle one. There's plenty of space. You could easily carry 3 people there for quite a distance, and I don't think that would be a bad thing for the centre passenger at all.
Okay.
Additionally, because they weren't done with playing with the back of the front seats, there is USB charging points located in the side of those front seats. And they're designed in such a way, as well, these seats, that you can do a few useful things. So you can hang like jackets off the back of the headrest. Mm-hmm. So it's that front seat, rear, right behind it area has really been thought through. I mean, when you think of the different things that you could use that space for, it's really been thought through on how people want to use their car and that space. I'm really impressed with that. I know that sounds quite, a charging port, where to hang a bag, and where you put your coat. You think that's all sorted, but they've put it in, and it's all neatly in there.
Yes. That's up there with some of the Mazdas in the sort of early to mid 2000s, where the front passenger seat folded and it became a little table.
Mm.
It's up in that sort of level of, okay, what do people actually do here?
Yeah. So up front, you got tons of space, especially sitting behind the wheel. As I mentioned before, it really feels like a jump in quality, and actually it felt a special place. I really did. I was driving along and I was going, I could see the rest of the family being in here and being like, "Oh, this is nice. This is really nice, isn't it?" And this is not a dig or disservice to Kia or anything, and this is not going, "Oh, it's a Kia and it's nice." It's not that either, because the last generation, like I said, that's not like that was bad in any way. But this is such a step up. It is such a big step up, and it's very special. And I can see why they are selling a lot of them. The driving Hang on. Mojo gripe. Climate control panel is touchscreeny. Not a fan of that.
Yeah, but but the temperature's physical. But how often do you touch it?
I was about to say to you, me not so much. Passengers,
just cut the hands off.
Okay,
for goodness sakes, Andrew.
After you.
You think I'm brave enough to do that?
So driving it was actually pretty decent for such a large car. Okay. It is a mid-sized family SUV, so I am not talking about I would hurtle around the Nordschleife or anything like that. But to do like getting onto a dual carriageway without causing a panic to yourself and passengers, not a problem. Going on B roads and A roads, again, driving to the conditions, absolutely no problem. And there was some like single track stuff I was on as well. And the visibility is great, so I could anticipate in most of the instances if something was coming and you could get out the way and block all this sort of stuff. So it just felt a nice. This is from someone who's not a massive fan of SUVs, but does acknowledge some of the plus points of them, i.e., being able to see further down the road, especially as hedges were growing and everything. I think I would arrive on any longish journey completely relaxed. The tech
completely relaxed.
Tech, well, yes, because I'll have muted the children. The tech there was useful tech, helpful. It wasn't intrusive. Things like the lane keeping assist was not the sort that wanted to throw you in front of cars coming the other way.
No.
So I wasn't on edge going, is it about to do something daft to me? I very quickly was confident that it would work in a manner that I was expecting it to. Again, there's with the Kia, it's very easy to switch off certain elements like the lane keeping assist and automatic emergency braking. There are buttons for you to do that quickly if you so wish to.
Yes.
So that, again, is useful, particularly depending on the type of road you're doing. Like you go on a single lane and you have to sort of not be in the middle of the road. Sometimes these systems get funny with you. So that sort of thing is, again, it's thought out.
Yeah.
And that's what I really came away from this car, is it was very good and it had really been thought out of who was going to use it, what do they want to do with it.
Cool. Which is what you would expect and what you would hope for in a car of that style. Okie doke. Next car you drove was the Kia Stonic, which is always a kind of funny name.
Yes, the Stonic. Stonic in Guise 2, and that is a 1-litre engine. This is a jacked up hatchback. I think it's not like a big full on SUV. It's like this. It's a small SUV, but it's not particular. It's not like Mockers where they're quite high off the ground and you think they're going to wobble. It's more jacked up hatchback.
It's very much if there's a grade between. It's a hatchback with some cladding around the wheel arches, really.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's at the if it was Ford, it would be the sort of Focus Active.
Yes, it's that sort of thing. Whereas I was in one of the latest offerings from Kia, this was the other end of the spec model range, almost. So this car first came to our shores in 2017 and had a midlife facelift in 2020.
Okay.
I have to say, though, it really feels like it is a generation or two behind their latest cars.
The way which it pretty much is, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah, the way that, and I'm not saying that makes it bad in any way. Again, like I was saying about the previous generation Sportage, that they're not bad cars in any way. There are 4 trim levels. There's the 2, which is the entry, GT Line, Connect, and GT Line S. Prices start at $19,260 and go up to $23,310 for the top of the range. All, again, as ever, this is all before you add any extras. I had the 1-litre 3-cylinder petrol engine in the 2 model, and the other 3 trims are all petrol mild hybrid powered. So only the 2 gives you a pure ICE.
Right.
This was effectively driving and car ownership really distilled and boiled down to, we are giving you just what you need. Not extra flim-flam. We're not giving you extra toys. And
is that always a bad thing?
No. And again, there is no bad marks from me for that. This is one of those cars that in 10 years' time, everything's still going to be working.
Yeah.
Like that, like the handles won't be hanging off the door. The indicator stalk will still feel perfect like it does now. The controls, the aircon. Yes. Yes. Only something you might want.
It's probably a festival of the unexceptional entrant in 20 years' time. Yeah,
I think so. There were quite a few hard plastics for those who like to harp on about such things, but they were in areas where I wasn't touching because I didn't need to go and feel down in the bottom of the footwell or right on the junction of the windscreen and the top of the dash.
Yeah, you mean you're not grappling in the footwell on a daily basis?
Look at the price point. Understand that Kia have a 7-year warranty as well. So they are building stuff that's going to last.
It'll see you out. It'll be the last car you ever need. I'm sure that I'm going to get lynched. I'm going to get lynched from Kia PR for that.
They'll have to take a flight to see you, though. Toy-wise, it was quite sparse in the 2. As you climb the trim ladder, then you get more stuff, including the typical driver assistance aids and like toys being fitted. For example, this did have CarPlay, but it didn't have an inbuilt sat-nav. So if I needed the map, I've got CarPlay. It doesn't matter.
What more do you need, really?
And it sort of made me think, do I need an inbuilt sat-nav if you've given me CarPlay? But that's a discussion for another time.
Yes.
With other people. If we go to the boot, flat, reasonably sized, it's 352 litres. Considering this is effectively...
It's a B+, isn't it?
Small, mid-sized hatch. Decent. Really decent. And it's 1,155 litres with the seats down. And it's got that... Again, this reminded me of like the last generation from this group. It has that drop floor ability where personally I'd probably just have it down all the time just to give me that extra couple of inches or so.
Unless you need the smooth load floor, then
yeah. Good curry hooks on either side in the boot as well. The rear, perfectly fine, bearing in mind you are not buying a limousine here. So space is proportional to the size of the vehicle. But it is very much 2.5 seats in the back. You're not really buying this sort of car to transport 5 people hundreds of miles all the time anyway.
No.
So,
no.
Again, appropriate for what the car is and what it's expecting to do, or what you should be expecting to do with it. Up front, I have to say I did feel a little bit perched on the seat, especially with the way the cabin's laid out. The stuff on the transmission tunnel is... You do look down upon it. It is quite a way down. And the seat, let's put it this way, it's not of a Recaro grippy type. It is more an seat that you will be, you're perfectly comfortable.
Is it easier to get in and out of than it is better to gripping you in the corners?
Yes, you are not having to jump over side bolsters. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Now, the 3-cylinder 1-litre petrol engine, that was fun. Particularly as this was probably quite a light car, considering, as well. And I've had this before with 3-cylinder engines. It made just enough of a naughty noise for me to go, ooh, I'll press that again. I quite like that sound. Gear change was smooth, and you are very much driving the car. There is no sense that technology is you are occasionally doing something and the car's doing a lot for you. No, it's not that. You're driving the car, you're doing the stuff, you're creating the inputs on which it is reacting to. You're not looking, because this is a jacked up small SUV, you're not looking at lap times. It's a 1-litre 3-cylinder engine again, so it's not going to be massively quick, but it's reasonably priced car that does everything you probably need it to. And I was actually a little bit fond of it by the end, because it was like I was doing stuff and it did everything I wanted it to do.
Is it a little happy car?
Yes, absolutely.
There's a lot to be said for little happy cars.
I can see why they sell. Yeah, I can see why they sell, particularly at that price point. That's very good price.
Pretty good for what it is.
Yeah.
Next one. Do we want to be super quick on this one? Because I know that you've got one lined up to have for a bit longer. So maybe we want to just, I know there's loads of good notes here, but do we want to zip across some of this?
Yeah, I will jump through this pretty quick. So I go from what felt like a few generations ago to the now and the EV6. So that is, just to remind everybody, their bespoke EV. It shares platform with the Ioniq 5 that we had and we reviewed not long ago.
Mm-hmm.
As Alan said, I've got one of these now. We will be doing a full review in due course, which we will release. So I'm not going to go too much into it, except this is a different tack to how the Ioniq 5 has approached EV-ness.
Because the Ioniq 5 approaches the EV-ness from a sort of, well, it's going to be a bit like your living room, but driving around a bit.
Yes, they've definitely gone for relaxed, comfort is luxury.
Sorry, Hyundai and the Ioniq 5 you're talking about.
Yes. With Kia, it's more set up as a GT. You are driving, you are part of all this process, and we are showing you that EVs can do the stuff you expect your pretty decently sized internal combustion engine vehicle to do. So yes. That's where we're coming from on that. I liked it a lot, which is why I then badgered them a lot to say, can I have one for a week, please? So I am retrying EV ownership in my town. And so far, it's going very well. So it's much more positive than last time.
Brace ourselves, everyone. Yeah. Oh, dear. Yes. Goodness me. Okay. Last of the cars that you drove that day, the Proceed. No apostrophe.
Yes, the Proceed. And this, I have to say, this bit of the range has always perplexed me. They've got the Seed, which is the hatchback. They've got the Seed Sportswagen, which is the estate thingy. And they've got the Proceed, which is the sort of sporty fastback type.
Really? I didn't even know the Seed Sportwagen existed.
Yeah. Oops. The Seed cars is important for Kia. It's their third best-selling range for them. It is still important for when everybody's going, oh no, everything's SUVs. It's not. People not still buy cars. Yeah. So this was refreshed in 2020. The styling, the materials have been enhanced and all the rest of it. The Proceed only comes in GT Line flavor, so that has nice things attached to it, make it feel inside a bit more sporty. The engine choice is a 1.5 litre turbo petrol, which is mated up to a very nice 6-speed manual. Is
that a 1.5 turbo petrol mild hybrid as well?
No, this was just
pure petrol.
Internal combustion engine. It's punchy enough to be warm.
Okay.
So we're not talking hot hatch, but it's reasonably warm. One of those that if you're driving with the family, no one would know that it's got a bit of poke, but if you're on your own and you're just going for a bit of a drive, you can have some fun with. That's what we're looking at in terms of things.
Okay.
You can do the sort of stuff you would expect with the family. There's plenty of space in the back. Let me just go to the boot though before I forget. Thanks to its fastback shape, it's a really good size. Everyone who's listened to this show for any length of time knows I love a fastback. And again, I think...
Says Sarboning Andrew, yes.
They are better than hatchbacks. I think they give more versatility, look better and everything. But yeah. So this has 595 litres with the seats up, 1,545 litres with the seats down, which is in the range of the Sportage.
Gosh, yes, so it is.
So, it's really very much a practical car in all this. The boot floor is flat. There's 2 curry hooks as well, but that's not the only trick. Oh no. Another thing that made me very pleased with this car. There is a compartmentalized undercroft to the main floor area. There is a decent sized storage area between the bumper and the main floor. It's deep and it's full width. There is a narrow storage space on the right-hand side of the floor, accessed by flipping up a small panel. But that is not all. No. Kia spoils us. There are 2 areas behind the wheel arches that can also be accessed by flipping up panel covers.
So are each of these accessed through a different little hatch? Sorry, yes. I'm just trying to work out. So basically, the rear boot floor is like a series of trapdoors.
Yes.
That's what I've just understood.
There is so much there. I'm not sure that even I could fill them up with bits and bobs. It's brilliant.
Oh, I know a man who could, but yes. Okay.
In the rear, the passengers get 2.5 seats. There's pretty decent leg room. The headroom's pretty good as well. Even though it's a fastback, the fastbackiness doesn't really drop off in the passenger area. So that's good. The shoulders of the car are quite high, though, which is thanks to the design and the overall look of it. It's like the rear windows come up to meet the down bit of the roof line and all that.
And that'll contribute to that massive boot space with the seats down. Because it'll be up to the window line, obviously.
Yeah. But it you know, if you think about the marketing blurb of something's purpose, something sporty, that's the sort of look you're getting when it comes to those rear windows and why they're quite so high. In the front, I've said that there was the Stonic that felt car of yesterday, the Sportage and the EV6 car of the future. This felt very much the car of right now. It is now. It is not you've gone forward a bit and brought something back, and it's not the past. It just felt very now. Everything is where you'd expect it to be. There's no extras for electrification and all that sort of stuff. It's very much what we used to say about Kias and Hyundais. It just works. Everything is where you want it to be, and it will do the thing you expect it to do by inputting it in the way that you think you should input it.
Yes. Yeah, so, which is one of their great strengths. It's one of the reasons I like them.
Yeah. As someone who was jumping in and out of several cars over the day, that was helpful to not have to try and work out things. Very much my first world problem.
Yes, but that's a very specific use case. And
yes.
Yeah.
But anyone getting in that car for the first time, straight off, up and running, not a problem.
Excellent.
I like that a lot, actually.
Yes, I get that impression. It's funny how often on drive days like that, it's the cars that you're not expecting that you sort of end up liking the most. You find the same with SMMT events and stuff.
Yeah, I deliberately didn't go, oh, I must try these cars. I just sort of went up to them and went, what have you got available? They told me. I said, okay, I haven't tried that. I'll try that. Please.
Sounds like fun. Yeah,
yeah, and I really liked the opportunity to do that because I'm not necessarily sure I would have tried the Stonic otherwise.
No.
And I think that would have... now I've tried it, that's a mistake to not do that sort of thing.
I'm going to be pretentious here and sort of blow our own trumpets and say this actually is one of the advantages of us not having a revolving door of press cars.
Yeah.
Is that it does mean that on events like this, sure, you know, we partly we just don't have the ability to furnish you with a special edition every week, but it means that there is more flexibility whenever you get a chance like this, and to try lots of different stuff back to back and not get bored of it. I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, so that was it for the cars you drove that day. So any sort of final thoughts, really?
Well, there was I alluded to it just before, but it felt like I've just gone through a timeline of Kia cars. The past, now, and the future. And that's actually quite amazing to be able to do that without someone going, oh, here's our heritage fleet or something like that. And that sort of stuff. This was cars you can buy now from a Kia dealer, and none of them felt in any way that they would let you down or was a bad choice, as long as you were picking them for the right reasons.
Yes.
And I think they are keenly priced as well. Mm-hmm. But I want to thank the Northern Group of Motoring Writers for welcoming me into the group, and they did so fantastically.
Crazy masochists, yes.
Yes. I was very good. I was well behaved. I didn't whinge about certain things I like to whinge about in front of them yet. But that's next time I meet them.
That'll come. Watch out, members of the Northern Group. Yes.
And also thank you to Kia for bringing all the cars that they did. That was brilliant. And it was the hospitality and the support they provided the Northern Group of Motoring Writers as well. Very much appreciated, and help make sure that such events like that can happen, where all the people who write and produce content about cars could meet up in such circumstances and just chat and swap stories and all the rest of it, which is not to be sniffed at.
No, especially not these days. I think we've realised just how much that's not to be sniffed at generally. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Andrew. That sounds like it was a pretty good day and lots of stuff tried then. So yeah, well done, Andrew. Don't forget that between now and next time, you can give us any feedback, share your thoughts to the show at Motoring Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, on Facebook, and on the contact page of motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Please don't forget to leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. Andrew, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch with me is via Twitter. If you search for Cracked Windscreen, you should find me there. And Alan, if people would like to get in touch with you personally, what's the best way for them to do that?
The best way, again, is Twitter, where I'm at AJP Bradley. That's Bradley. We'll be back next week, but until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clues.
And safe motoring.